What is going on, guys? You are back with another video. Well, we're back with another video. You're back to my video, and we're doing something quote-unquote new. I was getting a little bored with some of the what-ifs and whatnot, not really having any great ideas, and I was thinking about drafts and whatnot, and then I remembered seeing a Beard Mobox video. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but he did like a what-if teams drafted perfectly. And he used like Muthead and whatnot, which I mean it's cool and all, informative I suppose. But two things I didn't really like about it. Obviously, Muthead, he just threw in cards. There was really no, I wouldn't say judgment, but it's just it's just random. He was using the best overall card, so it was a little weird. And two, he did what if they drafted perfectly according to what they drafted, and we all know for a fact in real life, just because someone took a left tackle doesn't mean. If they grabbed, I don't know, like if the Packers drafted Derek Sherrod and he was the best right tackle, that doesn't mean it was the best draft pick. Clearly not. A team's not going to be like, oh, well, we took, this cornerback and he was the best there when they could have had Derek Carr or whatnot, So we're doing it. I don't know if this is going to be a full series or whatnot. We're just going to try one here and let me know what you guys think. But we are going to, we have the roster of what the Jets should have done. So in 2014, of course, we know that the the first round pick for the Jets was this guy named Calvin Pryor. Of course, they could have, if they really wanted a safety, they could have weighed in and gotten Clinton Dix, who is, I would say, exponentially better. But there was a better guy that they would not have been able to get. Also, by the way, another thing is I chose this. I'm not going to make it where the Jets could have traded down and whatnot. That gets way too messy. But 36 pick, Oakland Raiders take Derek Carr instead, or not instead, but obviously the Jets, knowing Derek Carr is there, would not have let him go to 36. They would have obviously taken him at number 18, without a doubt. And then number 49, they take Jason Morrow. I think he was actually released like a season ago or whatnot. I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but this 2014 roster is known as one of the better wide receiver classes in recent history, and this one's a toss-up. There's three guys that you would go with. You got Davante Adams taking 53rd, which is a few picks after the Jets. Then you have Allen Robinson 61st, but because of his recent injury, I would assume right now he's not the best of the three. And then number 63, Jarvis Landry. It was a tough one for me. I like Davante Adams more than Jarvis, but the reason why I chose Jarvis is because Davante Adams does have Rodgers throwing to him. And Jarvis, Davante, and Allen Robinson are very similar in stats. So, I mean, in performances at least. And I just went with Jarvis just out of the blue. So, once again, these aren't going to be necessarily perfect, but pretty damn close, I like to think. So, if you guys have any suggestions on who you think would have been a better fit or who I should have had on here instead, let me know. And then we have the third round, the 80th pick. I think he might still be on the roster in real life, but Dexter McDougle is a cornerback. Not a great pick at all. And with that pick, instead of the cornerback Dexter McDougle, we have a really great guy by the name of Devontae Freeman, who's taken 103 by the Falcons. Clearly a much better pick there. Not even a question. And then with the actual fourth-round pick of the Jets, they take Jalen Saunders. Don't know if he's on the roster at all in real life either, but clearly doing a redo, they would not have went with him. And instead, they would have went with Martavis Bryant, 81 overall. They could still have him because I believe he was actually requesting a trade in real life. So, I mean, when that happens, that's usually a bad sign for a team most of the time. They're either they're going to be disgruntled, they're not going to play well, they're going to get cut, or they're actually going to get that trade that they asked for. And then we, of course, have the 137th pick, where it is a compensatory pick. They take Dakota Dozier. He is still on the team in real life. Not a great player, though. If they're doing a redo, clearly they're going to be taking a guy like Telvin Smith. Great player, very fast. And the Jets are really in need of linebacker. I mean, you could see just off of the... why is Perry Riley here? I don't know if he's actually supposed to be on the roster or not, but... You could see that even with the redo, their linebacker core is not looking too hot. Then you have their 154th pick, Jeremiah George. Instead of taking the inside linebacker, who I really don't, I mean, I've never heard of him, to be honest. They take Corey Linsley, decent center for the Packers. A little bit injury prone, but still much better than the inside linebacker I've honestly never heard of. 195, they take Brandon Dixon, a cornerback. Once again, another no-name guy. And instead, they could have taken the 207th pick, Denver Bronco, Matthew Paradis, 82 overall center. Going to fit him somewhere on the line. Oh, no, he's already on the right tackle spot. Yeah, so that's a much better pick there. And then you have 2 picks. The Jets actually got one right, it would appear, assuming I still have him on the roster here. Quincy Enunwa. So the Jets, with their 209th pick, take Quincy Enunwa. I mean, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he is definitely the right pick there. Number 210, they take Ik Nkapale. I think I've seen him. What team? He was on one of the Monday night or the Thursday night game. He's on one of their rosters, but still not a great player. And with that pick, instead, they take the Texans' 216th pick, cornerback Andre Hall. And, of course, he's a free safety, 78 overall. Much better pick there. And then I believe there was another pick here. 213, they take Taj Boyd. And instead of Taj Boyd, it's not much of a pick, but instead of Taj Boyd, they take Jeff Janis from the Packers. 236, the Packers take him. They take Jeff Janis. They could take Travis Carey. I believe that's the cornerback from the Raiders. But instead, we do take this. Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. We take Charles Leno Jr., 78 overall. He's a left tackle for the Bears. That's who it is. That's why, like I said, I got to redo it. Or not redo it, but next time in the future, I've got to actually write these things down properly. It's funny, it's a 2014 draft. That was the Michael Sam draft. That was an interesting one. I forgot to mention it, but you guys were so early in the year in real life, I didn't want to redo this year's draft, so I just did the last 3 drafts before that. And this is an interesting one because in 2015, the Jets actually did take a really great player. 6th overall, they take Leonard Williams. There's a lot of other great names, though, behind them. Vic Beasley, Todd Gurley, Melvin Gordon, Marcus Peters, Landon Collins. That was a tough one for me. But all things considered, I'm making the argument that they redid the draft knowing what they know today. So I think my argument is that their biggest need is cornerback. Leonard Williams is nice and all, but I would argue they would probably rather have Marcus Peters at this point because they are just so desperate at cornerback. Even with the redo, we got Peters and then the rest are 80s, So that's the way I look at it. I think Marcus Peters would be their choice. Once again, Landon Collins, that's another tough pick to go away with. 37th pick, we have Devin Smith here. Not a great pick. I know he's been a little bit injury prone, I believe. Like you have Denzel Perryman, 48th. Eric Kendricks, 45th. Jalen Collins, 42nd. But I believe what I had them taking was Ronald Darby at number 50. Tart's a really great player too, but I think the decision between Darby and Tart was once again need. You got Jamal Adams. They took a high pick on him. Andre Howell's good. You got May. So I think Darby over Tart would be the move. It's hard though because Tart is really coming around now for the Niners. And then the 82nd pick, the Jets take Lorenzo Malden. I think he is still on the roster. He's injured at the moment, I believe. But, of course, a huge miss by them. Number 86 overall, David Johnson. And not just him, but there was a couple of other great names there, too. They have Daniil Hunter from the Vikings at 88. I'm not saying Ty Montgomery's on the same level as the guys, but 94 Ty Montgomery, as a wide receiver could be huge for them. But, of course, no doubt David Johnson is obviously the move here in the 3rd round. With the 103rd pick, the Jets take Bryce Petty. I believe he still is on the roster in real life. But instead, there was a couple of names that could add, Jamison Crowder, Jeremy Langford, Jalston Fowler, decent fullback, I suppose. Trey Jackson, he's okay. But I think clearly the biggest guy that they could have had was Quan Alexander, playing pretty well. Clearly another, fast linebacker for a need that the Jets have a big one at. A couple of picks before number 152, they could have had Brett Hundley, but, he's not the greatest name in the world. They take Jarvis Harrison. Not quite sure if he's still on the squad or not. They reach down a little bit. There's a lot of names in between. Not a lot of great ones, though. This one could be a little bit biased because I'm a Packer fan, but they take the Packers pick at 206, taking Aaron Ripkowski. I think he's not really been used this year, but last year he was actually a pretty damn good fullback. So I'm going to argue that he's better than a guard that might not even be a starter anymore, or even on the team for that matter at all. The Jets take Deion Simon, nose tackle, 223, and instead they take the Broncos pick at 250. I haven't really been following this at all. And they take Trevor Siemian. We don't know if Trevor Siemian's really even all that great, but a lot better than Deion Simon, who I don't know if he's even playing much. So the final draft, quote-unquote, redo, 2016, the Jets take Darren Lee. And I don't know if he's playing well. I don't think he really is. I don't even know if he's playing much. I probably should take a look at all this, but that's a lot of information. Regardless of the point, whether he's playing well, whether he's playing the best he's ever played, he is not better than the two guys that we could have had here instead. And it's a little bit of a toss-up, but you guys could probably tell by now it was either number 35, Hunter Henry, or number 37, Chris Jones. And I'm going to argue, because they did not get Leonard Williams, that Chris Jones would be the much better choice than Hunter Henry. What is our tight end right now? Austin Safarian. So it's really tough, but I think the easy choice is Chris Jones. I did have Slash on there, so it was a 50-50. Another tough one, though, is the fact that they could have reached down for Michael Thomas from the Saints. But like I said before, because they didn't get Leonard Williams, defensive end is a little bit of an issue for them. So we are going to go Chris Jones. Number 51, the Jets take Christian Hackenberg. And one pick later, the Falcons take Deion Jones. Obviously, if they could have that back, Deion Jones all the way, not a question. Not even a single question about it. You know, maybe they could have went Cody Whitehair, but he's kind of fallen off. Sua Cravens, I believe, just retired. Von Bell, you know, not crazy players here, but Deion Jones is technically one of those crazy ones. So with the 83rd pick, Jets take Jordan Jenkins, but there was a couple of guys behind them. They had Jacoby Brissett. Don't know if he would have played that well being on the Jets right away, but right now he's actually playing pretty decently. But once again, going back to those cornerbacks, it was between Tavon Young and Kendall Fuller, and I just went with the higher overall, basically. Kendall Fuller. Tavon Young is decent, but he's a little small. Kendall Fuller, he's 5'11". I think Tavon's like 5'8", 5'9", so that's who they take in this scenario. Once again, not every pick is going to be near, you know, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be very, very close. Here's a cornerback, 118. The Jets take Justin Burris, anyways, corner, and I think he is still on the roster, kind of far down there. But at 135, the Dallas Cowboys take Dak Prescott. Call him a product of a system, whatever you want to call him. Obviously much better than Justin Burris. I mean, Justin spells his name with an O-N, you know? It's not going to get much worse than that. And of course, instead of Dak, they could have went down and grabbed Jordan Howard, who's pretty damn good. But with David Johnson and Devontae Freeman, I don't think they're really in the need for one. And here's a decent pick. I mean, he's not the greatest overall, but the Jets at 158 take Brandon Shell. Kind of, you know, half serviceable. But at 165, they could have had a much better option. A huge need for them as well. Tyreek Hill at 165. The Chiefs take him. But in this case, the Jets steal him. What a steal there it would have been. Great pick by the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a couple of guys that we actually took in this quote-unquote redo. And now the Jets don't have a pick for quite a while here. All the way down the list. On this one, we're going to argue that the Jets actually took the best player because he still is on the roster. So I'm going to argue if he's still on the roster starting, he's okay. At 235, which is a really late pick. You can't even really be mad. They take Lachlan Edwards. I don't know if he just changed his name to Lack. What's the story? But this is the punter. He's still on the roster. Oh, yeah, he's still on. Okay, for some reason, the experience threw me off, even though it's correct. He's still on the roster, so that's who they take, and they got that one right. And then 241, the Jets take Sharon Peak. And I just, it's a redo. It doesn't necessarily mean that it would have been better, but instead they take Keith Marshall. Keith Marshall, I mean, he's a little fast. He's okay. You can make the argument that Sharon Peak was the best option there, but yeah, the Scooby Wright was down there. There's nothing really great. Tyler Matakovich, he's okay as well, I suppose. Kenny Lawler, not a lot of great names there, which is why I allowed 235 to be the correct pick at punter. But now, enough talking. Once again, this is going to be the first video, if I do a series of this, of the series, so you guys got to let me know if you guys enjoy it like that. Do you guys want me to name all the redos, you know, who they grabbed instead, when they took them and whatnot? I think it could be cool to do it this way. But, you know, learn and get better, I suppose. I think that was the best option. So obviously the Jets now looking a lot better. Offensive line still a little rough, but much better. Tight end did not make a change. Wide receiver core is completely different. Same with quarterback. You know, everyone in the backfield. Like the only guys that are similar are Kelvin Beachum was on this roster already. So same with James Carpenter, Safarian Jenkins. And then defensively, you got strong safety, DTs, and defensive end. Everything else is different. So clearly we can see here, I don't know why Perry Riley's here. I'm going to allow it, though, because he's a backup and he was a free agent. But you can clearly see that doing a redo here, very different for the Jets. Not going to say that all teams would be like this. I say a lot of them would be, but not all teams would be like this. But let's go on and see what the Jets can do. I probably should have taken a look. In the future, let me know, should I show you guys what they would have done instead without that roster? But I'm going to make the argument that the Jets would be bottom 5. And with this roster, it shouldn't be bottom 5. Let's just say that. So the Jets, with their new improved roster, is now a 13-3 team, and greens for everybody, apparently. Was David Johnson a 98 overall? I thought he was like a 96. Oh, I guess I do have Auto XP on. Never mind. Yeah, the team goes up a little bit. Wow, Marcus Peters, 92 overall. Is he superstar? He is. Damn, his zone is really bad. But we already know 13-3. Going to show you guys that we didn't cheat. The Patriots 9-7. Team scheduling. Okay, so regular season win by 3. Somehow lost to the Raiders, 48-0. I got to show you guys the rest of the league as well, because you know, with these redos, the rest of the league is a little bit off. 1-15 Dolphins. I don't even think, what do we take? Jarvis Landry? That's it? Packers, you know, doing well. Eagles, Chargers, Ravens. I don't know what the story is there. They usually aren't that high. Raiders didn't really take too much of a loss. Falcons did. Browns are up a bit. Steelers are down a bit. And it's kind of just be a random, sim, because some of these teams didn't lose anything and they look really porous. Like I guess they did lose Dak. 6-10. The Cowboys are a little 50-50 though, but more importantly, let's take a look at the actual stat line. 36 touchdowns, 12 picks, 4K yards. Not bad for Derek Carr. David Johnson, 15-32, 12 touchdowns, 2 fumbles. Devontae Freeman, one of the best averages for a backup I've seen. 4.1 on 700 yards and 178 attempts, 14 touchdowns. Very good season. Receiving now, Jarvis Landry, 1366. Austin Safarian had 75 catches. That's a lot. Tyreek Hill had 4 catches less, but put up 200 more yards. That's the big playability, even though he only had a 43-yarder. Martavis Bryant, 668. David Johnson, 201. Blocking, yeah, pretty bad, but we already expected that. Sack total, 17 sacks for Coney Ealy. Wow. Chris Jones, 6.5. Picks, 8 for Marcus Peters. Wow, that is a lot. Telvin Smith, 3. Jamal Adams, 3. Deion Jones, 2. Kicking, 14 for 18 for Chandler Catanzaro. Lack Edwards, almost 46 yards per punt. Not a bad average at all. Tyreek Hill with a touchdown return. Let's see if we... No, not a weekly award. Let's see if we had any yearly awards. 4th offensive. What's our defense? 3rd defense. Wow, this team is amazing. Jets, Derek Carr. Number 13-3 Coach of the Year. AFC. Did we have any awards? Did we have a singular award? Best quarterback, Derek Carr. Best running back, not David Johnson. Very close. Jarvis Landry, best wide receiver. Best D lineman, Coney Ealy, somehow didn't win against Watt. I really wonder what Watt did, because he's usually not playing. So it's, or not usually, but there's a decent chance he's not playing too well for whatever reason. I don't know why he doesn't play too well in Sim. Chiefs, without Marcus Peters, Chris Jones, and Tyreek Hill, are they going to win? They win their first game against us. So either way, though, the Jets, they're actually not too bad. They almost beat the Patriots, but almost means nothing. The Packers almost didn't lose Rodgers. Yeah, this is a rough loss. Derek Carr did not play well at all. Rushing, David Johnson played really well. Devontae Freeman, not really, but he got a touchdown. Receive, just more touchdowns, really. Yards were very similar. Picks, who got picks? 2 for Derek Johnson. 1 for... How are you throwing picks, these slow linebackers? I'll never know. Ronald Darby had a pick. Terrence Mitchell had a pick. So, we go 13-3, and then we lose the first game, which is very, very crappy. Let's go to Sim the Super Bowl, see who wins. Let me know what team you guys think should be next. I haven't, started any of these. I've just done this one because, like I said, I was getting bored, and I think, someone's done this before, obviously, but no one's done it on Madden. No one's actually seen the effects of trading the players, having them move over to teams, and, no one's actually done it this way. Like I said, drafting perfectly to the position they took is not drafting perfectly in the slightest. I remember even Bengal was on one of his videos a while back talking about, like, I don't remember who it was, but it was some player. It was for the Giants one. I think he was like saying that Eric Flowers is the right pick because he was like the best left tackle at the time, which obviously is not the best pick. Bengal mentioned something about doing something like this as well. He said something like, I don't remember. I don't want to give it away, but just saying, if he does something like this, don't say he stole anything, because he mentioned to me in the past that he was going to do something. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't this, though. Alex Smith threw for 329 yards during the Chiefs' win over the Rams, 24-21. Could very well happen. The Rams, I don't think they're the real deal, but their record is kind of arguing that point. Anyways, hopefully these videos aren't going to be too long, maybe a 20-minute video. I mean, it's kind of like a rebuild, realistically. It's not. It is actually my doing. What am I talking about? Because at the end of the day, you guys could have a few picks that are completely different. I would say, obviously, no one's going to argue with some of the big names, but I would say a lot of people would argue that Jarvis Landry wouldn't be the pick. He is a little overrated, but I just looked at it from, the grand scheme. Allen Robinson hurt for the year. No one wants a player that just got hurt. You never know how they're going to play. Rodgers could never be the same. He broke his collarbone on his throwing arm. He could never be the same, which is deadly scary to me. So right now, I guess you can't really say Tom Brady because he's old, but, those injuries affect things, and Jarvis versus Devontae, like I said, Jarvis is forced to be a number one. Devontae, he's got a great quarterback, and he can, get help from other people, so we don't know. So let me know if there was a big one that you guys think would have been completely different. I think it was a pretty damn good, redo. Let me know, once again, what team should be next. If you guys enjoyed this series, leave a like. If I have my team correct, I'll post another one this week if I get 200 likes. I think that's fair enough because these videos are pretty popular, or that, they were from Beard Moblox or Box, who's, I think, done with these. I don't know if he even does these anymore. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!